Because of demand, we are going to implement consuming an API over HTTPS in ZIG. Motherfucker! Ever since I did that video starting with ZIG, 0 to expert in 30 minutes, a lot of people in the comments asked me, how do I consume an API over HTTP, let alone HTTPS? Back then, those were the 0.10, 0.11 days. That wasn't implemented yet, they were working on it, so you needed to do it low level. So I basically just ignored those comments. I'm such a douchebag, I just ignored you guys. No, I always reply back, they're working on it. So they implemented, I believe, in 12 or 13, and I did a little thing and forgot about it. Life happens, you know. So I didn't make a video of it. Last week I was on a holiday, I figured, let's do it, because somebody else asked it. And I figured I can do this in about 40 minutes. Well, it took me about an hour and a half, because a lot has changed in the meantime. And there's quite a bit of scaffolding to do when you want to consume something relatively complex as OpenAI, where you have to pass in a bearer token. Because we're going to implement ChatGPT chatbot. So you can chat, because all you Zig incels don't have real cool friends, so you can chat with Zigeth. That is the girl implementation of Open ChatGPT. Right, so let's jump in and implement first a complete one-page way of doing it, and then we're actually going to go through the code to show my abstraction of OpenAI, which makes it easier to just ask a question. Abstract away all those details for the user, you know, that's what we like. I like the easiness of JavaScript. Let's jump in. So I will do one implementation in a single file here, and then we will briefly go through the code. That is actually the nice, basically a wrapper for OpenAPI, which makes it using in an application a whole lot easier and cleaner. We just set the key, we just get the key, we instantiate the OpenAI, we can change models then, that's also kind of necessary in some cases, because I'm cheap and I want to save money, and often the 3.5 turbo is more than enough. Then we read from the command line, we ask it a question, it gives back a response. The response is gone, because you can have actually a socket timeout if you have the connection open too long. It will actually do the standard HTTP fetch again, and then it will see it's not connected and reconnect. Hence I have that status here gone, and then reconnect, and then we just print out the answer and we wait 2 seconds, and basically you can then have a single chat. We do not send back the whole context of the chat, so the whole chat, mainly to save cost. I started off with just creating random jokes, and I figured, let's make it an input. But let's first do this in a single file, because that gives the notion a whole lot better, and a lot had changed in the release since I think I first used it in 13 or 12, the HTTP. And yeah, it's not really stable yet. A lot of function names, but that's the thing with ZIG in general. A lot of things move about. I spent literally 15 minutes trying to find out how to get an environment variable right now, because they changed it to the most obscure name ever. Getenv var owned. Just getenv should be enough. I think that they're moving a bit the wrong direction. They're making these very long method names that are not very descript. Standard.heap. Not thread heap. Yep. So we take the GPA, we make a allocator. Yeah. We can divert that allocator in case we go out. Shouldn't be necessary in this case, but it's good practice. And here we start with the HTTP. So we first create an HTTP client. Why that has a capital C, I don't know. Right, and we need to indeed pass in the allocator. I would have loved to have seen an init over here. Now it's getting so inconsistent. Some things are structures that have an init and client doesn't have an init anymore. One of the things I ran into. Defer. I would love if somebody can explain why they did that. I love everything with an initiator, with an init function. Now we come to something relatively new. We're going to create a body in a JSON. So we use the JSON dot, and it is stringify, and then allocator, alloc, this one, yes. And we use the allocator, yeah. And then we're going to set our own tuple in there. And indeed, yeah, close it off. We don't need anything else in there. So this is how you can basically make a inline JSON request. And here I'm actually doing that with a make body, making it completely dynamic. So I have my own structures and then pass in that structure and it will marshal it. Right, so we are going to create the request that we need for our friends at OpenAPI. So that starts with .model, and we put in the model name. Usually I use this one, but this is a bit better. And since I pay for that, I can even use it. Messages equals, and then that is again a structure. And yeah, but we just need one. We only need the role user, and we'll ask what is the capital of France. Fine, I'm happy with that. Okay, so this is the request or the payload that we need to send to the HTTPS endpoint. Talking about HTTPS, we also need to get our key, and this took me quite a while to find out what they did next. OpenAI API key equals to get the bloody thing from the environment variable. It used to be OS that getinth. I like things that are simple. This is the proper way to do it. Nope, they changed it around. They figured it's more logical to put it in a process. And then to make matters worse, do this sort of freaking shit. Getenv for owned. Allocator, yeah. And then my key is OpenAI API key, and that is just set in my ZSHRC. Okay, yeah, report that we can find it. I love it. And then we do a standard os.linux, and if you use Windows, figure out what it is for Linux. I can't be bothered, because who uses Windows these days? Come on, get with the times. Either buy a Mac or install a Linux thing. Fuck Windows. Fuck Bill Gates. Fuck Microsoft. So, another handout. Now we're going to create the authentication header, because we need to put this into a header, and this also changed. And during the edit, this is where I realized that OBS, after its update, fucked up the screen ratio, so everything below this line was deleted. So I'm doing it again for you guys. Why is software so fucking buggy these days? How fucking hard is it to actually test something? Anyways, another rant gone. We're going to implement the authentication header. Authentication header, and this is actually what we eventually want to do, but we do it in the way that actually works. We're going to use try standard format alloc print. We use the allocator, yeah. And we set, what is it, bearer, yes, that. Ah, cool, yeah, that is exactly what I want. So we put in the bearer token that we created here, like this, and that's part of the header. So, and we need to, of course, defer that header. Thank you very much. These auto completes are kind of easy. I do like them. Now we have to create the headers. So we create headers. We pass in the pointer to the structure that is returned here. HTTP dot header, and this is completely new. I had not used this before. Actually, this is exactly what we want. I want to set the authorization. Yeah. Now, this is not really the right way to do it, because these could go potentially out of scope, of course. Not in this case, hence I'm using it. But here I'm actually using the proper way to do it. I'm actually using the allocator to duplicate those strings to their own pointers. So generate their own memory with an own pointer. That way they don't get lost. Alright, so we have the headers. Now obviously we also need to create a response body that can hold our response. And this actually is an array list. And it uses U8 because it's the bytes that are returned and not necessarily the strings. And allocator, yes. Okay, yeah, so we initialize that. Let's immediately defer to delete it. .deinit, not capacity, deinit. Right. Okie dokie. And now this is where the magic happens. We want to have a response. Let me first, there we go. Const, I want a response. I always want a response when I do stuff like this. Yes. And we're actually going to use the client, try client.fetch. Now that is new. It also has a reconnect mechanism in it, which is kind of convenient. And yeah, pretty much, although the majority is wrong, because this now sits in a location .url locations. It's location dot and equal sign, yeah. So that is correct. It's not headers, but extra headers. I had to do a lot of looking in the standard library to figure this stuff out, because it was changed so much. Body, that's not body, but that is payload. We do get a response body. And we use response storage. Now it learned it. And it is dynamic, so it knows to use the allocator and the pointer to our thing. And that should be it. This is enough to actually fire a request to this endpoint. It will figure out now, because of the URL, whether to use TLS or not. So that is really convenient. Initially you had to set TLS to true. So there is definitely an improvement here. If response dot status equals dot OK, Then we will actually print it to the screen. But first we need to actually parse it, because we're getting back a JSON value. Const, I call it parsed. We try. If you want error handling, you do it yourself. I already put the namespace in there, didn't I? I can, yeah, then I can use that. JSON. Parse. Oh, parse from slice. Yes, this one. We take the standard, the JSON.value that we have. And yes, we use the allocator. And we don't have parse options, so that remains empty. And we of course have the response body. Response body dot items, and this contains actually the bytes. So this will actually parse this for us. We want to defer that. And yes, it learned from me yesterday. Not quite correct still. So let's remove this. We do get a parsed. I want a message actually, constant message, because that is what we're actually going to parse out. Parsed value, parsed. And we take the value dot object. Yep. And we get choices. Yeah. And that could potentially be a 0. Yep. So I'm not really doing in-depth error checking. I know that this will return, and otherwise we could catch it and handle it that way. Then we get back an array, and I want items 0. I saw that it did a get. I don't know if that works, because a get would be nicer. Dot get, and then we have the message, indeed, and then the content. So we have choices. Then we have an array of messages. We take the first message, yeah, and the content, and we turn that to string. And all are optional. Could potentially be 0. Yeah, that is correct. He filled it out correctly. Did it yesterday. It's actually cool that it's learning it. And that should be it. Yeah, and then we can actually print it. Print. Standard debug print. Message. 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 Come on, fill it out. Yeah. Yeah, actually between that, yes. All right. And else we do a standard debug error status, and this should be any. Right, I think we've got it here. Let's be there, and now let's compile it. Zig run source main single. See how many errors I have this time. Quite a few. Array hash map content, not a function. 54. I did something wrong here. Yeah, it was such a big one. Let me read it for a second. Parsed value. Get choices. Object get choices. Oh, I see what is wrong. The object isn't that. It's a value dot object dot get choices. Array dot items. I want item 0. Yeah. Object no. Yeah. No brackets. Get message. Yeah. Object dot content. Yeah. String. Okay. Let's see how many errors we have now. And yes, the capital of France is Paris. let's do something else for a change. Why is the earth round and not flat? According to some, it is flat, but I'm not one of those. Come on, do the request. There we go. Oh, that's a lot of tokens. Right, okay, so this is working. Now you can actually implement anything else that you want. You know how to put in headers, extra headers. You know how to set TLS, which is now very simple with the URL. But I actually wanted to wrap all this into a more convenient solution for myself. So I created a module, and this module has the struct OpenAI v1, because v1, maybe there's going to be a v2, and I want to use v2 and keep using v1 in other projects. So I initialize it here. Allocator, I put in the header with the bearer token that we did before. I copy actually the value, this is the better way to do, into model. I create an array list for all the headers. That is a nicer way to do. Here I actually append my authorization header with the bearer tokens there. The content type, of course, so I can add more headers. And here, like I said, I actually do it properly. I duplicate the string so that I know it's always part of my structure, even if it goes out of scope for some reason. Here we create that client. Still don't understand why the init isn't working or isn't there anymore. And the answer to our question. And then here I create the model, just make it an instance and return the instance. Quite simple. Set the model. Apparently you can free more than once without a problem in Zig. I tend to always check if it's not 0, then I actually need to free it. A bit of force of habit. Right, and I again copy it. If I can't copy, and then we have a really big error, because then we have an out of memory. There's no way of continuing. Here I ask it, so we pass in the question, we get back that HTTP results that we used here already, here already, right, but I also anticipate the gone, because if you wait long enough, it will actually detach or disconnect, and then this will throw the gone. If it's the gone, then I actually do it again, because the second time it will actually try to reconnect and then catch the response. If it then fails for some other reason, then we may as well get out of the chat loop, because something is seriously wrong. We could actually do a reconnect with the whole reinitialize or de-init try. I just opted to get out, made it the easy solution. After all, it's a tutorial. Right. Yeah, I have the parse response. That is a private function that actually does that whole parsing magic here. And I actually should probably call this a v1. Parse response. No, because this is in the structure of v1. So I can always add a v2. Cool. I thought about this. And here I actually make that body, which I need to do dynamically, because I need to copy in that question. And I hard code the one, because we always set one message in there. If you want to make it dynamic, be my guest. Code in the description. And here we de-initializes it. So again, if it's bigger than 0, then we actually used it. And then we free them. I free all those individual headers that we created here. That's something you need to do. And we are not Rust people. We can manage our memory. We are good at that. And then we free our structure, and then we d'init, etc. So if we build that, zig build, it already was built, zig out, then you incels have a chatbot. How is it to make love to a inflatable doll? Is it normal? Making love to an inflatable doll is a personal choice, not mine, but hey, whatever floats you, literally in this case, and can be considered normal for some individuals. Yeah. It is a form of sexual expression and can be safe and consensual. I tried asking her. She never said she wanted it, so if I would do I then commit, what? Okay, that's way too far. What is the radius of the Earth? Those are the normal kind of questions I ask my girlfriend. And usually that is exactly what she answers. 6,371 kilometers. Do you prefer rum or vodka? I have no personal preference. Yeah, that's usually what the prostitute that I hire also says. Whatever you want, baby. I will drink it. Okay. Well, there you go. We have ourselves a chatbot. So there you have it. You incels now have a ChatGPT chatbot because you don't have real boyfriends or girlfriends. That's why you're the Zig developers, right? I mean, otherwise you go out and have some sexy time. Instead, you sit in front of a screen, just like me. Yeah. Ironically, a lot has changed with 0.12 or 0.13. I don't remember what I actually did the first video in, which I never made a video of. But stuff changed all over the place. It was bizarre. And it took quite a lot longer for me as well to get it running. I figured I could do this with the whole abstraction in about 40 minutes. Took me well over an hour and a half. Yes. Yeah, shameful. I know. But that also goes to show that even if you use Zig regularly, which I haven't done actually the last 4 months, but even then, it takes a bit of time. JavaScript is quicker to develop in, but this is small, 11 kilobytes. I profiled it after I found that little memory leak of the question not being deallocated, which I hacked in just before the video, because it used to tell jokes about Germans in a repeating loop. But I figured, let's make an incel chatbot for you guys. So yeah, there you go. I wonder what has changed in 0.15, because literally the day after I finished this, on April the 12th, they released ChatGPT Zig 0.15. So you try that out. You tell me. And just make a PR of the code, right? So I hope you learned something and see you in the next one. So now you can consume APIs even over HTTPS using TLS.